ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप गदामह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. So we are reading from Canto 4, chapter 16. The name of the chapter is Praise of King Prithu by professional reciters, and we'll be studying text 5 and 6 today. So text 5. Ruchi Mataji, would you like to read? Yeah, I can read. सवै लोकपालना बिभृति एकस्तनौतुनो काले काले यथा भागं लोकयोरुभयोर्हितम्. Translate. And keep them in a pleasant condition by manifesting himself as different demigods to perform various departmental activities. Thus, he will maintain the upper planetary systems by inducing the populace to perform Vedic sacrifices. In due course of time, he will also maintain this earthly planet by discharging proper rainfall. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The demigods in charge of the various departmental activities that maintain this world are but assistants to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When an incarnation of Godhead descends to this planet, demigods like the sun god, the moon god, or the king of heaven, Indra, all join him. Consequently, the incarnation of Godhead is able to act for the departmental demigods to keep the planetary systems in order. The protection of the earthly planet is dependent on proper rainfall. And as stated in Bhagavad Gita and other scriptures, sacrifices are performed to please these demigods who are in charge of rainfall. Annat bhavanti bhutani parjanyat anya sambhava yagyat yagya karma samudbhava. All living bodies subsist on food grains which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance or yagya, sacrifice, and yagya is born of prescribed duties. Bhagavad Gita 3.14. Thus, the proper execution of yagya, sacrifice, is required. As indicated here in King Prithu alone would induce all citizens to engage in such sacrificial activities so that there would not be scarcity or distress. In Kali Yuga, however, in the so-called secular state, the executive branch of the government is in charge of so-called kings and presidents who are all fools and rascals, ignorant of the intricacies of nature's causes and ignorant of the principles of sacrifice. Such rascals simply make various plans which always fail, and people subsequently suffer disturbances. To counter this situation, the Shastras advise Hare Nama, Eva Kevalam. Kalo Nasti Eva Gatir Anyatha. Thus, in order to counteract this unfortunate situation in government, the general populace is advised to chant the Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Text 6. Would you like to read, Mataji?
Yes. Can you enlarge it a little bit? No, it's okay. I can enlarge it. 4:16:6. Vasukal update kale chayam vimunchati samasarveshu scroll Vasukal. Okay. This King Prithu will be powerful as the sun god. This we have already read. Hare Krishna.
We read the translations at that time, we may have read, but we did not discuss this.
Okay, this King Prithu will be powerful as the sun god, and just as the sun god equally distributes his sunshine to everyone. I think we discussed it. King Prithu will distribute his mercy equally. Similarly, just as the sun god evaporates water for 8 months and during the rainy season returns it profusely, this king will also exact taxes from the citizens and return these monies in times of need. I think we discussed it, but anyway. Purport: the process of tax exaction is very nicely explained in this verse. Tax exaction is not meant for sense gratification of the so-called administrative heads. Tax revenues should be distributed to the citizens in times of need during emergencies. Mm, Uh, can you scroll and where, where was I? During emergencies such as famine, governmental servants in the form of high salaries and various other allowances. In Kali Yuga, however, the position of the citizens is very horrible because taxes are exacted in so many forms and are spent for the personal comforts of the administrators. The example of the sun in this verse is very appropriate. The sun is many millions of miles away from the earth, and although the sun does not actually touch the earth, it manages the distribution land all over planet by extracting water from the oceans and seas, and it manages to make the land fertile by distributing water during the rainy season. In an ideal king, Prithu would execute all this business in the village and state as expertly as the sun.
Thank you, Ruchi Mataji. So, actually, Prabhupada again and again and again describes about the qualities of a good king and a good leader in society. So here, King Prithu.
That's a good leader who will speak when he wants to speak.
Yeah. So King Prithu, actually, he is the personality of Godhead. So here, the professional reciters are saying that in due course of time, he'll be able to maintain all living entities in a pleasant condition, both in the heavenly planetary systems as well as earthly planetary systems. And Prabhupada actually describes how this happens. So everything comes from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. and he is the bhokta of every sacrifice. But for the living entities to actually obtain grains and rainfall and everything, they are dependent on the demigods for proper discharge of activities within this material world. And in order to obtain those necessities from the demigods, they are required to perform sacrifices. So that is what is described in Bhagavad Gita, that everything is produced by rains, and rains are happen because of sacrifices or yagyas. So it is very essential that, just as Prabhupada used to describe, just as, when we use electricity, we have to pay the electric bill. When we use water, we have to pay the water bill. So similarly, when the demigods are performing activities, we also become indebted to the demigods for providing us rain, for providing us sunshine. We cannot expect that everything is free. So in order to provide for the demigods, actually, um, one has to perform sacrifices. That's how one repays the demigods. And here there is another interesting point that, whenever Krishna descends to this planet, all the demigods, the sun, moon, Indra, all of them also come to participate in the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. So at that time, another incarnation of the Supreme Lord actually becomes the departmental demigods. So, we can understand this easily. If somebody goes on vacation, somebody else has to fill in their spot and take on the responsibilities. So, similarly, like that, when the demigods come to enact pastimes and participate in Krishna's pastimes, Krishna has to actually um, take on their duties and responsibilities which they usually conduct. So this is what is required. And proper execution of sacrifice actually is a very detailed process. Actually, this is described in the Vedas, how one can perform sacrifices and how can one can obtain the material desires that one has. But it is not possible to perform all those yagyas in this age of Kali, because people are not so well equipped. They do not have the facilities, they do not have the intelligence. Moreover, they do not have proper brahmanas who can fulfill these functions. So the best way to actually perform sacrifices is through Harinam Sankirtan. Therefore, it is called as Sankirtan Yagya. By chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, one actually is able to please all the demigods and bring about auspiciousness for humanity. So, Ruchi Mataji, would you like to explain text 6?
Yeah, if you scroll up, scroll so you can see the words. Can you hear me? Can't see anything. I don't know if you can hear me.
Mataji, it is on the screen. I have
No,
already.
the explanation. Explanation. Okay, yes, now I can see it. Okay, so here they say that King Prithu would be as powerful as the sun god, and just as the sun god would be distributes his sunshine to everyone, King Prithu would so The point being, sun is like the my God, you can say, who or who evaporates water for 8 months, and during the rainy season, that's happens in India. For 8 months, there is a lot of heat, and then during the season, it returns it duly. So it is nice arrangement, like it. You hear me? Can you hear?
Mantaji, voice is breaking.
Okay, so I don't know how this connected. So, anyways, uh, so here the the process of um, evaporation and rainfall is compared to the process of tax extraction in this. It is actually not meant for the so-called administrative heads, like how it happens these days, where all the ministers they see that getting a seat in the parliament seems to be a seat to extract or to fill up their life with the money the government the citizens, but that is should the case. It should be distributed to the citizens needs. Earlier, the kings had the treasury in which there was a lot of reserve money. Now we don't need that because we have world and other stuff. But there was not the system. Then people needed to people sorry they needed to um, collect the money and distribute it in times of need during emergencies such as famine or flood. It should never be distributed amongst government servants in the form of high salaries. So here now the position of citizens is very horrible because taxes are extracted in so many forms and are spent for personal comforts of the. I don't know if you're listening, if you can scroll up the screen. I don't think you can hear me.
Mantaji, the voice sometimes is very good, sometimes it's gone. Mm.
So I was saying to scroll the
Happy Terrace,
screen up
Happy
because
Terrace is also listening to you.
sorry. Okay, so the sun is many millions of miles away, and although the sun does not actually touch the earth, it manages to distribute land all over the planet. I think it means distribute rain all over the planet by exacting water from the oceans and seas, and it also manages to make that land fertile by distributing water during the rainy season. As an ideal king, Prithvi would execute all this business in the village and state as expertly as the sun. So that is basically the verse that comparing the position of how one should like be careful with the resources, and the king has to be very careful with the resources that they go to the people for their welfare, and it does not discriminate on any basis, just people's need, like how the sun god is impartial. Similarly, um, 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 the king also has to be impartial and distribute um, and distribute water during the rainy season. So King Prithu would execute all this business in the village and state as expertly as the sun. So I don't have much to say about it. If you are listening,
Mataji, Hari Krishna. I can hear you. Now it's fine.
yeah. So don't know if you have to say anything. These days I don't feel so good, so I cannot really explain in a nice way.
It's very nice you're joining, Mataji. I'm so happy. Although it's quite
I
short.
try to I try to do that so that at least there is one thing I can do because I don't
That's very nice. Hmm. Yeah. Actually, if we really think about it, in Kali Yuga, all of us have, so many levels of difficulties.
Yeah, I have seen personally that if I um if I become lax in my in any of the like how I used to chant or anything like that, then a lot of doubts start coming in, and then it becomes very difficult to keep the faith.
Mm,
Just in the faith, just in general, keeping the faith in God, that is the best that we serve. It becomes very difficult, and the situation and condition and circumstances also become such that a person cannot really uh, chant or focus. I've seen that, so I don't know.
mm, 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 mm,
Yeah, lately maybe because of my illness, I feel like I cannot do anything.
mm,
So,
mm, mm. Yeah, you have to take care of your health, Mataji. That is very important.
just sometimes it becomes too much. Like every day, one cannot just